Cloister. Cloister. Church. Lower Abbey. Shrine. Convent garden. Shrine. Shrine. Upper Abbey. Lisbeth. Gertrude. Lisbeth. Gertrude. Gertrude says God bless you, Master Mailer. How goes your work in the scriptorium? Option 1 of 2 very well, thank you. Option 2 of 2 it could be better. Gertrude says would it make you happier if I told you Agnes Steinauerin received some saffron yesterday? Player says really? Where'd you hear that? Gertrude says Sister Matilda saw her at the Albans. Maybe you can convince Prior Ferenc to get some for your yellows. Player says good to know. How's Mossfanger? Gertrude says she's around here somewhere, hopefully getting to the baby rabbits before Sister Matilda does. Player says until later, Sister Gertrude. Gertrude says bless you, Andreas. Maybe I'll see you by the shrine of Saint Satial one of these days. Gertrude. Lisbeth. Lisbeth says God bless you, Master Mailer. Upper Abbey. Marguerite. Marguerite says God bless you. Brother Piero? No, wait, it's Master Mailer. Player says I thought you couldn't see, Sister Marguerite. Marguerite says during the day, I can see some colors. Player says how did you know it was me? Marguerite says you and Brother Piero both smell of the pigments you use. But you're taller, and you have another smell to you, like fish or burned almonds. Option 1 of 2 that's old linseed oil. Popular option 2 of 2 I am also much more handsome. Option 1 of 2 that's old linseed oil. Popular among the Italians, but Brother Piero doesn't use it. Marguerite says I'll ask Sister Gertrude about it. Player says how are Sister Gertrude's herbs coming? Marguerite says it's too early to tell. Most of them won't be grown until May. Still, working with herbs suits me. Player says have a good day, Sister Marguerite. Marguerite says God bless you, Master Mailer. Marguerite. Marguerite, Upper Abbey. Lisbeth. Gertrude. Lisbeth. Upper Abbey, Marguerite. Marguerite, Upper Abbey. Shrine. Convent garden. Shrine. Lower Abbey. Church. Cloister. Upper Abbey. Infirmary. Chapter house. Infirmary. Upper Abbey. Church. Lower Abbey. Shrine. Convent garden. Upper Abbey. Convent aquarium. Matilda. Matilda says God bless you, Master Mailer. Player says Sister Matilda. How are you doing? Matilda says Mother Cecilia doesn't like us talking to men unless it's necessary to perform our work. Player says forgive me. Sorry to bother you. Matilda says thank you, Master Mailer. Matilda. God bless you, Master Mailer. Het Mossvanger. Het Mossvanger. Player says the sisters certainly keep their garden well tended. The sisters certainly keep their garden well tended. Het Mossvanger. Het Mossvanger. Sister Gertrude dries and stores all of her herbs here. Het Mossvanger, Matilda. Convent Upper Abbey. Prior's house. This door must lead into the rest of the convent. Not for me. Upper Abbey. Prior's house. Upper Abbey. Convent Loquarium. Convent Loquarium. Convent Garden. Convent Garden. Convent Garden. Convent Loquarium. Convent Upper Abbey. Convent Garden. Shrine. Lower Abbey. Church. Cloister. Church. Upper Abbey. Monastery Loquarium. Ruger. Cloister. Crypt. Tower. Dormitory. Old Matthew. Sacristy. Matthew. Old Dormitory. Tower. Crypt. Cloister. Ruger. Monastery. Upper Abbey. Monastery Loquarium. Ruger. Ruger says God bless you, Andreas. Player says has your voice yet recovered from Easter Mass, Ruger? Ruger says oh, yes. It was a bit of a strain, but a worthy sacrifice. Player says well, if the Lord could give us his all on Easter. Ruger says exactly. Have a good day in the scriptorium. Player says have a good day singing. Ruger. Cloister. Crypt. Tower. Crypt. Cloister. Church. Dormitory. Kitchen and cellar. Dormitory. Church. Sabbat. Refectory. Courtyard and large garden. Modest chapter house. Infirmary. Upper Abbey. Infirmary. Chapter house. Monastery Loquarium. Large garden. Courtyard and lavatorium. Refectory. Sabbat. Church. Church. Cloister. Crypt. Tower. Crypt. Church. Church. Investigate. 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 Player says a lovely relief of the Virgin and Child. Shame it's hidden down here. Options. That was it? Now what? Library? Library? Player says, huh? A secret entrance to the library? I'll have to remember this. A secret entrance to the library? I'll have to remember this. Church. Church. Crypt. Tower. Tower. Church. 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 Tower. Dormitory. Old Matthew. Sacristy. Matthew. Matthew says, God bless you, Andreas. Player says, how is the sacristy today, Matthew? Matthew says the same as yesterday. Does my vocation seem silly to you, Master Mailer? Option 1 of 2 no. I was just being friendly. Option 2 of 2 a little. Option 1 of 2 no. Matthew says then go in peace, friend, knowing that the Abbey's treasures are secure for another day. God be with you. Option 1 of 2 one more thing. I have a favor to ask you. Option 2 of 2 until later, brother. Option 1 of 2. Matthew says yes, Andreas. Option 1 of 3 I was hoping you could give me my pay for the latest manuscript early. Option 2 of 3 I'd like to collect my wages. Option 3 of 3 give me my pay. Option 1 of 3 Matthew says this isn't part of the agreement you made with Father Gernot. You'll be paid on the completion of each additional manuscript you illuminate, not before. Option 1 of 2 I only have a few pages left, brother Matthew. I'll finish them in the next few days anyway. Option 2 of 2 Can you make an exception this once? Option 1 of 2 Matthew says then I think you can wait a few days to collect your wages. This Abbey runs through mutual agreements, not haphazard payments. Breaking such contracts would cause undue trouble not only for Kearsarge, but for Tassing as well. Option 1 of 2 is that why Father Abbot has increased the taxes on the Gertners. Option 2 of 2 I understand. I won't press you further. Option 1 of 2 Matthew says what is this about, Andreas? Option 1 of 3 I would like to help the Gertners pay their taxes to the Abbey. Option 2 of 3 the Gertners have asked me for their rent early, so they can pay their taxes to the Abbey. Option 3 of 3 lie I need the money, brother. I've made a grave error and I'm in debt. If Option 3 of 3 lie I need the money, brother. I've made a grave error and I'm in debt. If I had the coin, I'd be able to pay it off. Option 1 of 3 Matthew says then plead your case to Father Gernot. It's his decision. Player says the matter is pressing, brother Matthew. In the name of Christian charity, isn't there anything you can do? Matthew says. Player says what's giving you pause? Matthew says my sacred duty is giving me pause, Master Mailer. Speak to the Father Gernot. I have no problem paying you early if it is the Abbot's will to do so. God bless you. Matthew. Sacristy. Matthew. Old dormitory. Tower, crypt, cloister, Ruger. Monastery, Upper Abbey. Monastery Loquarium. Ruger, cloister, crypt, tower. Dormitory, Old Matthew, Sacristy. Matthew, Old Bailey. Church. Scriptorium. Cemetery. Scriptorium. Prior's house. Scriptorium. Cemetery. Scriptorium. Church. Old Bailey. Church. Scriptorium. Scriptorium. Old Bailey. Bureau. Piero. Eat got, Old Bailey. Old Bailey, got, Edok, Piero. Old Bailey. Scriptorium. Cemetery. Scriptorium. Scriptorium. Cemetery. Old Bailey. Animal pens. Animal pens. Cemetery. Large garden. Cemetery. Abattoir. 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 Cemetery. Animal pens. Cloister. Kitchen and cellar. Dormitory, church, Sebat, refectory. Refectory, Sebat. Church. Church. Cloister. Crypt, tower. Dormitory, old, Matthew, sacristy. Matthew, old, dormitory. Old Bail, Matthew. Old Bail, dormitory. Old Bail, Matthew, sacristy. What is it you think you're doing, Master Mailer? Option 1 of 2 doing. Option 2 of 2 stare innocently. Option 1 of 2 doing. Matthew says stay away from the sacristy. You know you're not allowed in there. Option 1 of 2 of course. My apologies. Matthew says thank you, Master Mailer. Sacristy. Matthew, old dormitory. Tower, crypt, cloister, Ruger. Monastery, upper abbey. Monastery loquarium. Church. Cloister. Church. Church. Monastery loquarium. Upper abbey. Church. Cloister. Cloister. Upper abbey. Infirmary. Chapter house. Infirmary. Infirmary. Florian. Florian says God bless you, Andreas. Player says brother Florian, how are you? Florian says the brothers and sisters are well, so I am well. Thank God. Andreas, have you spoken to Klaus Drucker lately? Player says yes, quite recently. What? Florian says I believe he may be receiving a medical text from Bologna soon. I'm quite interested in it. Player says can you read Italian? Florian says no. Little Italian, and my Latin is not as good as I would like. I was hoping brother Piero could help me with it, if he has the time. Player says I'm sure he will make time. He is a patient teacher. Florian says that he is. I will see you later, Andreas. Player says until then. Florian. Florian. Cloister. Infirmary. Chapter house. Cloister. Large garden. Cloister. Chapter house. Monastery loquarium. Large garden. Courtyard and lavatorium, refectory, sebat, church, dormitory, kitchen and cemetery. Cloister. Kitchen and cellar. Cemetery. Kitchen and cellar. Refectory. Lucas. Lucas says hello, Andreas. Player says, how goes it in the kitchen? Is brother Wojciech working you hard? Lucas says, not too bad. Brother Wojciech is nice to me. It's Father Abbott and Brother Pryor who make things hard. Player says, how so? Lucas says, I shouldn't complain. They just like their food a certain way and I'm not that good at cooking yet. Player says, I'm sure Brother Wojciech will teach you well in time. Lucas says, Brother Edok complains about his food, too, but he complains to Brother Wojciech. Player says, what does Brother Edok know about food, anyway? He's from Cornwall. Lucas says, I don't even know where that is. Player says, it's a land to the west, across the sea, where all they eat is fish. Lucas says, sounds miserable, but that's always what he complains about, the fish. Player says he just likes to complain, I think. Don't lose heart, Brother Lucas. You're still learning. Lucas says, thanks. See you later, Andreas. Player says, until later. Lucas. Cellar. Cellar. Kitchen and cellar. Wojciech. Wojciech says, morning, Andreas. How's living with the Gertness? Option 1 of 3, it's great. They're a lovely family. Option 2 of 3, good. We get along well enough. Option 3 of 3, well, it's a room in a peasant home, so I can't expect much. Option 2 of 3, good. We get along well enough. Wojciech says, well, Peter can be a thorny one, but maybe he's nicer to the townsfolk than he is to us from the abbey. Option 1 of 2, it's about the same. Option 2 of 2, he does have a sore spot for the abbey. Option 1 of 2, it's about the same. Wojciech says, oh. May God and time dull his edge for the benefit of us all. Anyway, if I don't see you around the abbey later, maybe I'll see you in Tassing tomorrow. Player says, until then. Wojciech. Kitchen and cellar. Large garden. Cellar, Lucas. Refectory. Cloister. Kitchen and cellar. Cemetery. Kitchen and cellar, dormitory, church. Sebat, refectory. Refectory. Sebat. Sebat says, God give you health, Master Mailer. Player says, Brother Sebat. I am surprised to see you still here. Sebat says, as am I, but I will be leaving soon, returning to Rome. I and my bishop regret that we could not reciprocate Father Rodolphe's generosity earlier. He showed much kindness to our priests at the Council of Constance many, many years ago. Player says, will you remain in Rome? Sebat says, that is up to my bishop, but I will miss these mountains in any case. You should travel to Ethiopia, Master Mailer, and see the highlands. God has blessed my home with a wondrous beauty. Player says, I would love to, someday. I still need to return to Nuremberg and open my workshop. Sebat says, yes, someday. Until then, if you are ever in Rome, I may still be around. Player says, I would like that. Sebat says, by the way, if you have some time in the next few days, it would be nice to share a meal with you and some of the townsfolk. Player says, the townsfolk. Sebat says, I am accustomed to strange looks, especially in rural places like these, but I have had kind words with the baker and his wife. Player says, oh, yes, the Albans, Ulrich and Grit. Sebat says, I offered to tell a story to the children and their mothers over a meal someday. Grit seemed excited about the idea, but I would be more comfortable if you were there as well. Option 1 of 2, I can certainly make time. Option 2 of 2, do you not eat here with the brothers? Option 1 of 2, I can certainly make time. Sebat says, thank you, Andreas. I look forward to it. God give you health. Sebat. Church, dormitory. Church, Sebat, refectory. Courtyard and large garden. Modest chapter house, infirmary, upper abbey. Infirmary, chapter house, monastery, aquarium, large garden. Courtyard and lavatorium, refectory, Sebat, God give you health. Refectory. Cloister. Kitchen and cellar. Large garden. Kitchen and cellar, cloister. Refectory. Courtyard and lavatorium. Courtyard and lavatorium. Cloister. 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 Courtyard and lavatorium. Large garden. Cloister. Refectory. Kitchen and animal pens. Large garden. Animal pens. Kitchen and cellar. Refectory. Refectory. Abbot house. Abbot house. Large garden. Frank. Het mirabilis, Gernot. Lower Abbey. Gernot. Het mirabilis, Frank. Frank says God bless you, Andreas. Het mirabilis. Gernot, het mirabilis. Gernot. Het mirabilis. Gernot. Gernot says Andreas. Player says God bless you, Father Gernot. I wanted to speak with you on behalf of the Gertness. Gernot says the Gertness. What about them? Option 1 of 3 they re struggling to cope with the increase on taxes. I'd like to negotiate a better rate on their behalf. Option 2 of 3 Clara mentioned they're behind on tax payments to the Abbey. I told her I'd talk to you about the matter. Option 3 of 3 I want you to waive the late payment on the Gertner's taxes. Option 2 of 3 Clara mentioned they're behind on tax payments to the Abbey. Gernot says Andreas, I'm not sure what you hope to accomplish with this. The financial agreements between the Abbey and the Gertners are none of your business. Option 1 of 3 most of the coin will circle back to you, anyway. What different? Option 2 of 3 maybe not in the long run, Father, but I hate to see them struggling. Can't we? Option 3 of 3 they are, now that they've asked me for my rent early in order to pay the Abbey. Option 1 of 3 most of the coin will circle back to you, anyway. What difference does it make? Option 2 of 3 maybe not in the long run, Father, but I hate to see them struggling. Can't we discuss something? Gernot says Giersaw owns the land at Gertness farm. They have a financial responsibility to the Abbey. It is not only my right to tax the farmers, but my responsibility to provide for my brothers and sisters. I'm sorry, but the Gertners will have to find their own way to pay what they owe. God bless you. Gernot. Het mirabilis. Frank. Frank says God bless you, Andreas. Large garden. Abbot house. Animal pens. Kitchen and cellar. Refectory. Cloister. Chapter house. Cloister. Cloister. Large garden. Modest chapter house. Infirmary. Upper Abbey. Church. Lower Abbey. Shrine. Convent garden. Shrine. Lower Abbey. Church. Cloister. Church. Lower Abbey. Upper Abbey. Meadow. Lower Abbey. Forest. Mill. Church and Druggers. Meadow. Forest. Meadow. Thomas. Claus. Drucker House. Town Commons. Drucker Claus. Drucker House. Town Commons. Church and Druckers. Gardner Farm entries. Entry, Gardner Farm. Gardner Farm, entries. Player says entry Schmidt smithing. It's so much smaller than the one he uses at the Abbey. Entry Schmidt smithing. It's so much smaller than the one he uses at the Abbey. Entries, Gardner Farm. Town Commons. Big Yurg. Big Yurg. Big Yurg says hey, Andreas. You say hello to the girls today? Player says Eva and Clara. Big Yurg says no, I mean the chickens. Peter, James, and John. They like it when you stroke their back or give them a good scratch under the breast. Player says you named your chickens after the apostles? Isn't that blasphemy? Big Yurg says I guess when you put it plain like that. But I hear about the apostles every Sunday in Mass. They witnessed Jesus' greatest moments of glory and his darkest trials. And I was thinking, that's how it is with the girls and me. They see everything I deal with around here. Option 1 of 2 that makes perfect sense to me, Big Yurg. You have much in common with Christ. Option 2 of 2 word of advice, don't mention that to anyone else. Option 1 of 2 that makes option 2 of 2 word of advice, don't mention that to anyone else. Especially the father. Option 1 of 2 that makes perfect sense to me, Big Yurg. You have much in common with Christ. Big Yurg says you are making fun. It's fine, I get it. I'll just call them the girls from now on. Player says I don't recall your family eating eggs. What do you do with all of them? Big Yurg says oh, we sell them to the Bowers. Clara says we need the extra money for taxes. Anyway, I should get back to it. Until later, Andreas. Player says until then. Big Yurg. Gardner, Peter. Gardner House. Gardner House. Gardner Farm. Gardner, Ursula. Ursula. Gardner guest room. Gardner, Ursula. Ursula says Andrew PPPBBT. Andrew PPPBBT. Gardner guest room. Gardner guest room. Gardner house. Go to bed. Go to bed. Gardner house. Go to bed. Gardner house. Ursula. Gardner guest room. Gardner farm. Eva. Clara. Eva. Gardner farm. Eva. Eva says hello, Andreas. Clara. Player says hello, Clara. Can you spare a moment to chat? Clara says of course, Andreas. How can I help? Option 1 of 2 I was wondering if I could help with your tax troubles. Option 2 of 2 you said you were behind on taxes to the Abbey. Exactly how much are you short? Clara says oh, well, about 2 guldens worth. If you can't pay your rent early, that's alright. I'm sure we can find some way to pay the abbot. Option 1 of 2 I am happy to contribute whatever I can. I know times are hard for you right now. Option 2 of 2 no, I'll have my payment for you. I was merely curious. Option 1 of 2 I am happy to contribute whatever I can. I know times are hard for you right now. Option 2 of 2 no, I'll have my payment for you. Clara says ah, I see. Peter's too proud of a man to ask for charity when there's still ground to till. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have asked you about rent in the first place. You're young, and have your own life ahead. Option 1 of 2 I am happy to pay early, Clara. You've been good hosts to me, and I can do without more than your family. Option 2 of 2 if you're sure. Option 1 of 2, Clara says God bless you, Andreas. Don't mention this to Peter, alright? He would hate to know I told you about our troubles. Option 1 of 2 he won't know a thing. Option 2 of 2 alright. Clara says I should return to work. Player says until later, Clara. Clara. Eva. Gerdner Farm. Gerdner House. Peter. Bill Peter. Peter. Peter says Andreas. Bill Peter. Bill Peter. Peter. Bill Peter. Bill Peter says God bless you, ah. Player says. Andreas. Bill Peter says ah, oh. Yes, Andreas. This weather's been god awful. This town's gone to shit since my days. Option 1 of 2 I don't think the townsfolk can do much about the weather. Option 2 of 2 were things very different when you were young? Bill Peter says as different as beer and piss. The old abbot didn't bother us much about our customs. He didn't mind if we left a little offering to Prichta to keep the skies clear, the weather fair. Matthias knew that Christ was in our hearts even if the white lady's name was on our lips. Option 1 of 4 the church banned all observances of pagan gods, Bill Peter. Option 2 of 4 what sort of old customs? Option 3 of 4 I thought St. Moritz protected Tassing. Option 4 of 4 you think that spirits have been fouling the weather since no one follows the customs anymore? Bill Peter says heh. Sharper than you look, heh. The saints weren't the first to watch over Tassing. My father knew that. Old Radek Kemper knew that. That bastard abbot may not like it, but some of us keep the traditions alive. Option 1 of 3 like the old widow, Adelia. Option 2 of 3 I won't mention that at the abbey. Option 3 of 3 what do these traditions entail? Option 2 of 3 Option 3 of 3 what Bill Peter says when you get up in the night to take a piss, go around the right side of the house, and never go back the same way. That way the witches don't steal your soul. Option 1 of 2 of. How, interesting. Option 2 of 2 I should go. Option 1 of 2 Bill Peter says cough cough. Player says I should go. Bill Peter says alright. God bless you. Bill Peter. Journal. Bill Peter. Journal. Bill Peter. Bill Peter. Peter. Gerdner House. Big Yerg. Town Commons. Gerdner Farm. Church and Druckers. Gerdner Farm. Entries. Entry. Gerdner Farm. Church and Druckers. Town Commons. Drucker Claus. Thomas. Meadow. Forest. Meadow. Thomas. Thomas says God be with you, Andreas. Claus. Drucker House. Town Commons. Drucker Claus. Claus. Claus says morning, Andreas. Drucker House. Drucker Claus. Drucker House. Morning, Andreas. Drucker house. Drucker Claus. Drucker house. Morning, Andreas. Morning, Drucker house. Drucker Claus. Thomas. Meadow. Forest. Meadow. Mill. Forest. Lower Abbey. Meadow. Journal. Maps. Meadow. Upper Abbey. Meadow. Upper Abbey. Lower Abbey. Shrine. Convent Garden. Shrine. Lower Abbey. Church. Cloister. Church. Lower Abbey. Lower Abbey. Upper Abbey. Meadow. Lower Abbey. Forest. Meadow. Shrine of Waterfall. Shrine of Saint Station. Forest. Forest. Shrine of Saint Station. Waterfall. Old Otto. Old Otto. Old Otto says good to see you, Andreas. Old Salt Mine. Waterfall. Old Salt Mine. Old Otto. Player says rock. Old Otto. Old Otto says good to see you, Andreas. Forest. Shrine of Saint Station. Meadow. Smokey's home. Church and Druckers. Meadow. Forest. Meadow. Forest. Church and Druckers. Smokey's home. Forest. Vaxlov. Vaxlov. Vaxlov says oh, hello. Player says hello. You're not a local, are you? Vaxlov says no. I'm staying in Tassing only briefly. Option 1 of 2 is Smokey a friend of yours? Vaxlov says no, I didn't know him before coming to Tassing. But he's let me stay with him, so yes, I suppose he is. People don't much like Romani. Most folk despise anything that's different. I like staying on the edge of town. Option 1 of 2 I search to find whatever is different. It's the option 2 of 2 different is merely different. Not better or worse. Option 1 of 2 I search to find whatever is different. It's the differences in an artist's style that makes their work unique. Vaxlov says you're the artist staying up at Deersaw. Player says yes, just visiting Tassing for some time. My name is Andreas. Andreas Mailer. Vaxlov says, it's nice to meet you. Most folk in Tassing don't come down here to talk. Right. I'm Vaxlov, a traveling thinker. I travel from place to place, sharpen knives, mend small things that need mending. That sort of thing. Option 1 of 2. What brought you to Tassing, Vakslav? Option 2 of 2. Do the people of Tassing need much tinker? Option 1 of 2. What brought you to? Vakslav says, well, I actually came to visit Yearsaw's library. I had hoped for one of the monks to read them to me, but the abbot wouldn't let me in. Option 1 of 2. No one's allowed inside the library except the sisters. I'm not surprised they turned you away. Option 2 of 2. Father Gernot is a grumpy old man. I think he has half a mind to throw me out of the scriptorium, most days. Vakslav says, he does seem like an angry man. He threatened to expel me from Tassing entirely. Player says, what were you looking for? Vakslav says, well, I explained I was looking for a text about the elements. If they're primordial, as Aristotle says, then God didn't create them. They exist with him, since the dawn of time. Option 1 of 3. That's a fascinating idea. Option 2 of 3. But Genesis clearly says that the Lord created the heavens and the earth. Option 3 of 3. How ridiculous. Option 1 of 3. Vakslav says not only that, but it explains the presence of the angels and demons before the creation of the world. Of the 5 elements, angels are fire and air, and demons water and earth. And the world was ether before the Lord formed it. That's why Satan appeared as a snake to Eve. Snakes can only dwell in deep caves and pools. Option 1 of 3. I never considered it that way before. You might be onto something. Option 2 of 3. Be careful, Vakslav. People have been imprisoned for talking like that. Option 3 of 3. Don't be a fool. God created the elements just as much as anything else. Option 1 of 3. I never considered it that way before. Option 1 of Vakslav says, I did not expect such open dialogue with you, Master Mailer. Few men with your stature would entertain such ideas with someone like me. Anyway. I should get back to work. Player says until later, Vakslav. Vakslav. Boris, Smokey. Boris, Vakslav. Boris, Smokey. Smokey says, oh. Master. Mailer. Option 1 of 2 yes. Option 2 of 2 say nothing. Option 1 of 2 yes. Smokey says we met once before, I think. You were drawing something by the waterfall. I'm Smokey. Well, Adam. But people call me Smokey. Option 1 of 2 you read the charcoal burner. Option 2 of 2 yes, I remember. Smokey says good. So, is there anything I can do for you? Player says no, just being friendly. Smokey says oh, of course. Good to see you. Until next time, Master Mailer. Player says until then. Smokey. Boris, Vakslav says hey, Master Mailer. Boris. Smokey's home. Church and Druggers. Meadow. Boris. Meadow. Thomas. Klaus, Drugger House. Town Commons. Drugger Klaus. Thomas. Meadow. Forest. Church and Druggers. Meadow. Forest. Meadow. Meadow. Mill. Forest. Lower Abbey. Meadow. Upper Abbey. Lower Abbey. Church. Cloister. Church. Church. Upper Abbey. Monastery Loquarium. Monastery Loquarium. Church. Cloister. Church. Monastery Aquarium. Ruger. Cloister. Crypt. Tower. Dormitory. Old Mafia. Sacristy. Mafia. Old Dormitory. Old Bailey. Church. Scriptorium. Scriptorium. Old Bailey. Bureau. Eat got. Old Bailey. Old Bailey. Got. Edoc. Bureau. Bureau says Andreas. God bless you. So good to see you. Player says good morning, brother Bureau. Good to see you as well. Edoc says I don't like this weather. My bones ache. It means a storm is coming. Player says Big Yurt Gertner says that if you live here 10 or 15 years, you can smell storms coming. Guy says brother Edoc has been here long enough that we can always smell him coming. Edoc says do not forget, brother Guy, the fate of the youths who jeered the aged prophet Elisha outside of Bethel. Guy says are you comparing yourself to a prophet, brother Edoc? Edoc says I am comparing you to an impudent youth whom the Lord, in his ineffable wisdom, may choose to strike down. Option 1 of 3 brother Guy, please show more respect to brother Edoc. You're being mean-spirited. Option 2 of 3 calm yourself, brother Edoc. You're too sensitive to Guy's jokes. Option 3 of 3 say nothing. Option 3 of 3 say nothing. Player says well, everyone seems quite lively. I suppose that means Prior Ferenc is not overseeing us today. Guy says he was here, but then he heard Lawrence Rothvogel had arrived and he hurried out like a little mouse. Ferenc is so desperate to impress the abbot and nobles like Rothvogel. It's pathetic. Edoc says you feign kindness to Father Abbot and our prior only to speak about them like this behind their backs. It's shameful. Piero says oh no. Baron Rothvogel. His manuscript. I just realized that he will want to see his manuscript. How silly of me. Of course that's why he is visiting. Guy says perhaps if you were younger and faster you wouldn't need to worry so much about patrons' visits. Option 1 of 2 what's the problem? The Baron is just one client. He has to wait like anyone else. Option 2 of 2 Guy, someday you will stand where Piero is and a young monk will stand where you are now. Option 1 of 2 what's the problem? The Baron is just one client. Edoc says Andreas, Baron Rothvogel is not like anyone else. He has powerful friends, including the Prince Bishop of Freising. Kearsau is already out of favor. Father Abbot does not want to have to deal with more attention. Player says well, if Prior Ferenc isn't here, I'm going to work on my masterpiece until he arrives. Oh, that's right. I need to reference the Indermore manuscript. Zedna says what do you want, Andreas? Player says a book. The Indermore manuscript, the book of hours. Zedna says your hair looks messy today. Did you get enough sleep? Option 1 of 2 could I just get the book? Option 2 of 2 what do you mean? Option 1 of 2 could I just get the book? Zedna says ugh. That's all that way upstairs. Can't you get by without it? Option 1 of 2 I am sorry, but I really can't. I need to reference it for my work. Option 2 of 2 no. Why are you complaining? Isn't this your job? Option 1 of 2 I am sorry, but I really can't. I need to reference it for my work. Zedna says really? My feet hurt and the stairs are so steep. I'm just going to ask Illuminata to get it. Options. Main menu. Options, language. Resolution, master volume, high contrast. High contrast. Options. Options. Language. Resolution. Master volume. High contrast. Options. Sister Illuminata. Andreas needs help finding a book and I don't know where it is. Illuminata, says Andreas. Player says, Sister Illuminata, I'd like to borrow the Endermore manuscript, the Book of Hours. Illuminata says, yes, I overheard. Here. Please return it promptly. Piero says, Andreas, may I see how your masterpiece is coming? Player says, of course. Your opinion is always welcome. Piero says, yes, the composition is lovely. There is a joyful spirit in your arrangement of the figures. The contrast of colors is also quite nice. Rich and beautiful on their own, but not overpowering the scene. Option 1 of 2. Is that all? Option 2 of 2, it doesn't feel right. I don't know what. Piero says, it's an excellent interpretation of someone else's work. Option 1 of 2, what do you mean? It's all my work. Option 2 of 2, that's what clients want. Piero says, what do you want? Where are you in this work? Option 1 of 3, I didn't know there was room for me in here. Option 2 of 3, that doesn't concern me. Option 3 of 3, I want to do a good job. I want my clients to be satisfied. Piero says, do you think that you'll do a good job if you thoughtlessly imitate another artist's work? What does this painting represent? Player says, it's November. In November we show peasants leading the pigs into the forest to forage on acorns before the slaughter. Piero says, Andreas, the peasants here are no longer allowed to forage acorns in the forest. Many great lords and abbots across the empire have forbidden it, even Father Gernot. Player says, what difference does it make? This is the way November is painted. Piero says, but it is not the way November is. Piero says, art is illusion, storytelling, but in their most sublime form, these images illuminate a path to truth. Option 1 of 2, it's most important to me that my clients are happy. They will. Option 2 of 2, this masterpiece is a way for me to impress patrons. I can't be concerned with anything else. Option 1 of 2, it's most important to me that my clients are happy. They won't pay me for truth. Piero says, yes, but with God's grace, this book of ours will outlive us all. What will it say to those who see it in a future generation, centuries beyond our comprehension? Some will gaze deep into your lines and paint to seek a deeper meaning. What will they find? But you need not listen to my opinions. They are just the thoughts of one old monk. There is no place for the monastic scriptoria anymore. In truth, this room is a place out of time. Option 1 of 2, does that make you sad? Option 2 of 2, why is that? Why has Kiersaw kept this up for so long? Piero says, some people, some places, have a difficult time letting go of the past. I am not among them. The creation of books, of art, is no longer the province of monasteries. So be it. More people will be able to write, more will be able to read and, in so doing, be brought to truth. Option 1 of 2, Don, do you think there's a danger in anyone being able to write, anyone being able to read, anything? Option 2 of 2, I think there will always be a place for artists like you and Brother Edok. Guy says. Option 1 of 2. And Brother Guy. Option 2 of 2, say nothing. Guy says. Piero says, it's kind of you to say so, Andreas, but you need not be concerned for me. I have lived a long life and am happy to have served the Lord. When he calls for me, I am ready. Ah, where has the time gone? It is already terse. Too much talk. I must ask forgiveness for not honoring the rule. Until later, Andreas. Player says until later. Illuminata says what's going on in here? Journal. Illuminata. Journal. Illuminata. Illuminata says Andreas, what was that noise? Player says oh. I'm sorry, Sister Illuminata. I knocked a bowl of paint to the floor. But then Prior Ferenc came in, wrote in one of his books, slammed it closed, and left. He was in such a hurry I don't think he even noticed me. Illuminata says he was slamming books shut? Prior Ferenc should know better than that. Some of these manuscripts are quite delicate. Option 1 of 2 nod. Option 2 of 2 he seemed to be in a great hurry. Illuminata says I think he is on edge since Baron Rothvogel arrived early. Which is why books should not be taken out of the library unless it is necessary for divine reading or work in the scriptorium. Option 1 of 2. Are you still mad at me for borrowing the Chronica Clara? Option 2 of 2 oh, that reminds me, there are a few more books I've been wanting to borrow. Illuminata says you can't be serious. You want more books? I think Prior Ferenc has given you more than enough. Option 1 of 3 I. Select thought bubble to think before responding. Option 2 of 3 I don't ask for those books. He just gives them to me and asks for my opinion. Option 3 of 3 if it's a problem, you should bring it up with Father Gernot or Mother Cecilia. Option 2 of 3 Illuminata says that's between the two of you. My concern is only for the books. I can't give them out to just anyone. Option 1 of 2 I am not just anyone. Option 2 of 2 you rewrite. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Illuminata says there's nothing to forgive. The library and its books are my responsibility. My concern for the books does not end at the library door, nor does my responsibility. Please understand that. Now, if you'll excuse me. Player says wait, what's all this fuss about Lawrence Rothvogel? Why is Prior? Illuminata says Lawrence? I didn't know you were familiar enough with the man to use his Christian name. Anyway, I haven't dealt with him, personally, but the Prior and Father Abbot have. I only know that he's purchased a number of our most valuable manuscripts over the years. And he paid enough to help the Abbey when we needed it. Player says like what? What did he buy? Illuminata says I can't remember. You know, I have my own responsibilities to attend to. How about this, Andreas? If you help me recover some missing books, I'll tell you what I know about the Baron. Option 1 of 2 of course. I'll help in any way I can. Illuminata says thank you. It's for the good of the Abbey. Player says where should I begin? Illuminata says out there, where you and your cohort have carelessly strewn books around the scriptorium. I will tell you what books I'm looking for. Find them and return them to me. The first books are 2 volumes of the Aeneid. Reddish covers. 14 inches by 10 inches. 3 inches thick. Option 1 of 2 Innsbruck inches or Nuremberg inches. Option 2 of 2. I know the ones. They're among Pierrot's favorites. He keeps them by my desk. Option 1 of 2 Innsbruck inches or Nuremberg inches. Illuminata says, what? Player says Nuremberg inches are low. Illuminata says. Player says, what color are the covers, again? Illuminata says reddish. Player says, oh. I know the ones. They're among Pierrot's favorites. He keeps them by my desk. Illuminata says they are not his to keep. Illuminata. Journal. Illuminata. 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 Player says there's a fair amount of wear on these. I hope you don't mind. Illuminata says those volumes were old even when Pierrot started to make the copies. Player says how long ago was that? Illuminata says 3 years. The Aeneid is not one of my favorite stories, but I understand why it appeals to Pierrot. Illuminata says Aeneas chose his duty to the gods over his lover, Dido. Player says do you think Aeneas' sense of duty appeals to Pierrot? Illuminata says we all have our vocations. Brother Pierrot takes his more seriously than most of the others in this abbey. Player says you clearly take your chosen vocation seriously. Illuminata says Andreas, I didn't have a choice in my vocation. Few women do. Option 1 of 2 well, surely it's not that dire. Option 2 of 2 you rewrite, of course. Illuminata says I appreciate that you understand how limited our roles and our choices truly are. Even in stories, we are maidens to be rescued and wed, cruel seducers of men, or wizened crones. Like Dido, we ordinary women are merely tools in the tales of men. We can never be the protagonists of our own stories. No woman is exempt from that, from the empress to a nun. It is our lot. Player says I suppose I understand now why you are not fond of the Aeneid. Illuminata says it's fine poetry. For men. Now, the books, if you please. Journal. Illuminata. Illuminata says thank you. Next, wretched Garen. This is a printed copy. Green cover, diamond pattern. I do not have the size in the ledger, but hopefully the description is enough. Player says I know the one you're talking about. Brother Edok was reading it. Illuminata. Illuminata said. Player says the beauty of this book truly belies its ridiculous content. I'm surprised the Abbey owns a copy. Illuminata says we don't. It belongs to Amedeo Rusco of Lugano. It's a Venetian edition that's quite valuable. He loaned it to us 5 years ago. It was subsequently lost and the abbot has received 3 letters about it. Player says I've certainly seen the brothers enjoying it. Illuminata says that book is not appropriate reading for Benedictine monks. Illuminata says a baby is sold to pirates, raised a servant, then lives a life of adventure wooing princesses and fighting in tournaments. Player says you forgot the best part. In the end, Garen learns he has royal blood, the son of a duke. He reigns as a king and dies a pious hermit. What's not to love? Illuminata says Benedictines should be dreaming of reconciliation with our Lord, not lusty adventures. Option 1 of 2, what's the harm? Option 2 of 2, I suppose you're right. It's better suited for knaves like me. Illuminata says it's not my place to reprimand anyone for reading stories, least of all, you, Andreas. Still, we must be on guard. Fantasy leads to temptation. Temptation has led to the downfall of many men and women. Player says sometimes, yes. But books like this, it's all the same type of fantasy, isn't it? Illuminata says to die better than we are born. Player says, and what's the problem with that? Why shouldn't a peasant dream of being a king? Illuminata says there is neither Jew nor Greek, neither slave nor free, neither male nor female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. Player says we may be one in Christ, but we are not equal in this world. Illuminata says it isn't this world you should be concerned with, Andreas. But, the book, Andreas. We must return it? Or would you like the abbot to receive a fourth letter? Player says I hate to see the brothers disappointed, but I understand. Illuminata says it's not my goal to deprive the brothers of their joy, but to return Amadia Rusco's property. The book, please. Illuminata says there is only one book left. Then you will be freed from bondage. A dark red cover. 8 inches high, 5 inches across, 2 inches thick. Option 1 of 2, what is it? Option 2 of 2, oh, I remember that. I believe Brother Guy was reading it. Option 1 of 2, what is it? Illuminata says the description should be sufficient. Option 1 of 2, I don't know why you won't tell me, but alright. I'll find it. Option 2 of 2, very well. Option 1 of 2, I don't. Illuminata says. Player says now that I think about it, Guy has always been guarded about this book, like he was hiding it. Illuminata says very good, please bring it here. Player says what is this, anyway? Ah, it's in French. The soul that God touched, empty of sin in the first state of grace. What is this? Illuminata says why are you asking so many questions? Just give it to me. Player says why won't you tell me what this book is? Illuminata says because it's a dangerous book, Andreas Mailer. One the previous abbot tolerated in spite of a papal order to destroy it. 3 French bishops condemned the book. All copies were to be burned. Its author shared the same fate. Player says what? What? Illuminata says I don't know, Andreas. It isn't my place to question the judgment of one bishop, much less 3. And before you ask, no, I haven't read it, but I know it contains a dialogue between love and reason. Player says so the book is dangerous, when did the bishops condemn it? Illuminata says 200 years ago. Player says what? What? Why is it still here? Illuminata says because Father Matthias loved books. All books. He didn't want to see it destroyed. Option 1 of 3 sounds reckless. Option 2 of 3 and he was right to do so. Books shouldn't be destroyed, even if their content is in question. Option 3 of 3 I can sympathize with him. Option 2 of 3 Illuminata says the Holy Church does not share your opinion. It is their law we must contend with, not your emotions. Option 1 of 2 the Church was wrong. Option 2 of 2 fume silently. Illuminata says it's not my place to question the former abbot's decision, but when Father Gernot learned it was in our possession, he wanted it destroyed. Option 1 of 3 must the book be destroyed. No one even knows that it's here. Option 2 of 3 well, I refuse to give it to you if all you're going to do is destroy it. Option 3 of 3 fine. Here, take it. Illuminata says good. It's for the best. Thank you. Illuminata. Illuminata says now then. Baron Rothvogel. Quickly, though. I need to fit option 1 of 4. You said that he buys books from the Abbey. What kinds? Option 2 of 4. How long has he been visiting the Abbey? Option 3 of 4. He seemed unusually friendly with me. I don't understand it, honestly. Option 4 of 4. He mentioned finding a copy of Historia Tasha. He said it had some scandalous details in it. Option 1 of 4. You said that. Illuminata says what? Are you angling to get the Baron as a patron someday? Option 1 of 2. It's only prudent. I want to line up potential clients before I become a master. Option 2 of 2. Well, I'm not sure. I suppose I'm just curious. There's no shortage of books and artists in the big cities. Illuminata says so. Why patronize an outdated abbey and its dying scriptorium? Player says, yes. Illuminata says our library has managed to retain a curious selection of books, in large part thanks to the permissiveness of our abbots and librarians. The Baron has a particular interest in books on magic and other occult topics. As does our prior, though I suspect the Baron's interests may be more experimental than academic. Option 1 of 3. A dangerous error in judgment. Option 2 of 3. Is that normal, monks having an interest in the occult? Option 3 of 3. I can't blame them. Magic is a fascinating subject. Illuminata says as evidenced by your willingness to accept Prior Ferenc's books. Option 1 of 2. Wait just am. Option 2 of 2. Say nothing. Illuminata says but, I suppose we all must trust in the Lord and our own conscience. Faith can inure anyone against corrupting ideas, but reading such texts is dangerous. Not that it is my place to judge either the Prior or the Baron, of course. Option 1 of 3. If you say so. Option 2 of 3. You seem to say that often after judging people. Option 3 of 3. Say nothing. Illuminata says well, I must be off to Massachusetts. Thank you again for your help, Andreas. Option 1 of 2. I suppose you'll be leaving via the crypt. Option 2 of 2. Smile devilishly. Option 1 of 2. I suppose you'll be leaving via the crypt, Illuminata says. I don't know why you were poking around down there like a grave robber, but that entrance isn't for you. One of the lords of the old keep must have had it built to escape in times of siege. It allows the sisters to access the library without distracting the brothers. Please do not abuse this knowledge. Option 1 of 2. Of course not, sister. Option 2 of 2. Maybe I could abuse it a little. Illuminata says. Don't. Player says that's the bell for sex. The brothers will be sitting down for dinner soon. I should see if Otto is around and still wants to eat with me. I think he's working by the guest house below the abbey. Journal.